Simplifying rational expressions. We will begin with example number 1, x plus 4 over 2x plus 8. Our first step is to factor out the greatest common factor from the numerator or the denominator, wherever it appears. The numerator does not have a greatest common factor, but the denominator does. So let's factor out a 2 from the denominator. So the numerator remains the same. We take out the factor, the greatest common factor that these terms share, which is a 2, and we're left with an x plus 4. Because if we multiplied this back, distributed this back together, we would end up with this expression. So now we can remove the common factors between the numerator and the denominator. We simplify these. This simplifies to 1 over 1. So we are left with 1 over 2 times 1, or 1/2. Our next example, we want to simplify 3z minus 9 over 5z minus 15. Again, we want to take out the greatest common factor. So for the numerator, we have 3 is our greatest common factor. Factor this out, and we're left with z minus 3. And for the denominator, 5 is our greatest common factor. Factor this out, we're left with 5 times z minus 3. Next step is remove the common factors between the numerator and denominator, which is this expression and this expression, and our answer becomes 3/5. Example 3. Negative 2x minus 6 all over x plus 3. So in the numerator, we could factor out a negative 2. Let's remove a negative 2, and to get it back to the original, we would need an x plus 3. Because distributing back, negative 2 times x would give us our negative 2x. A negative 2 times a positive 3 gives us back to the minus 6. So let's just rewrite our denominator. Now we can remove the common factor between the numerator and the denominator. They both have a factor of x plus 3. This becomes a 1 and another 1. So we are left with negative 2 over 1, which is negative 2. For example 4, 5 minus x all over x minus 5. We are going to factor out a negative 1. The reason we do this is because we see that these are very similar looking. We could rewrite this expression. We could switch the order of this expression and rewrite it. So let's rewrite it down here. We could rewrite this as negative x plus 5. All we did in this step was reorder this. This negative x we put first and the plus 5 second in the denominator here. So again, they're very similar, but they are different from their signs. This is negative, this is positive, this is positive, this is negative. So in this case, we want to factor out a negative 1. So let's do this in the numerator. So this expression is the same as saying negative 1 times the quantity, x, because negative 1 times x would get us back to a negative x, minus 5. A negative 1 times a negative 5 would give us back to the positive 5. So here we did not change the denominator. But now we can simplify this, simplify further. We can factor out their common factor, which is the x minus 5. So this expression factors out with the above expression, and we are left with a -1. That's our answer. Next, for example 5, we will look at a problem that's a little slightly more challenging. With this problem, we have a trinomial in the numerator and a binomial in the denominator. So for this problem, we want to factor. We need to factor the numerator and factor the denominator. So we're doing this down below. Factoring the numerator, x squared plus 7x plus 12 will give us x plus 3 times an x plus 4. You could use the FOIL method to check this. Our denominator, this is a difference of two perfect squares. So this here factors into an x plus 3 times an x minus 3. Now we simplify by removing their common factors from the numerator and denominator. And we're left with our answer, which will be x plus 4 divided by x minus 3. And our final example, example 6. In this example, we will have two trinomials to simplify. So we're given this rational expression, then we're asked to simplify. So we need to factor. When we factor the numerator, it will factor into two binomials. Both positive. And then we need to do the same with the denominator. We need to factor this trinomial. Factor the numerator is what we did. Then we need to factor the trinomial in the denominator. This trinomial will factor into 2x and an x, and then a plus 1 and a minus 3. Here we can remove the common factors, 2x plus 1, and we are left with our answer, x plus 5 all over x minus 3.